I am so excited to say that the 30 and 30 manga challenge that I participated in, I nailed it! I nailed it out the park! I'm so excited to talk about everything! Hello friends, happy Friday, so very excited that you're here. I'm talking about everything I read in the month of April. My friend at Shade Geeks Out, she was hosting a challenge along with some friends of the 30 and 30 manga challenge. Basically where you try and read 30 volumes of manga in 30 days. And honestly with how rough April was, like halfway through, I really didn't feel I was gonna make it. I truly didn't, but then after I did the weekend of 2 first impression videos, y'all, I just couldn't stop reading. I was reading like about 2 to 3 volumes in a day of different series. So that's pretty rare for me. It's not something I typically do, but once I started, that was it. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Talking about the digital things that I've read. Buddy read with my friend Gira. We read The Margrave's Daughter and the Enemy Prince, Volume 7. I really enjoyed this volume. I felt it was a lot more intense than Volume 6. Volume 6 is still my favorite read. That was my favorite read, I believe, in the month of March. So good. This one, we're now seeing the flames of the revolution. We're seeing what is all riding on this revolution. Not only that, seeing Anna in action though, ooh, she is amazing, awesome, incredible. So that conversation with her mom, oh my goodness, my inner mama bear was ready to roll. I was ready to go for Anna's mom. I said, girl, no, we ain't even gonna go there. She made me really, really angry though. But also Theo, talking about being angry, get more angry, buddy. We love to see it. I was thriving every time he get really mad. I'm like, yes, just get more mad, buddy. Just keep getting more mad. It was fantastic. That was absolutely wonderful. But seeing Anna in action definitely was the highlight of this volume. Definitely another really, really good one. I will talk about the other digital manga I read in just a second. The other one that I read was the final volume of the month, was Volume 1 of Our Aimless Nights. This is a 2-volume seinen series, I believe, that's coming from Ink Pop. And I remember when we first got the license announcement, my friend Margaret Reads Manga was very excited. I believe she read the series digitally. She absolutely loved it. And I tried it out, but it was sort of like the wrong time. I just wasn't interested at that time. And then when I saw it was on NetGalley, I said, you know what? I'm gonna take a chance and see if I'll get approved for a review copy. And I did. I loved it a lot. So much so that I'm actually debating if I want to get a physical copy. I not only enjoyed the volume itself that I read, but really the opening message or note, letter from the editor of them saying how they really have a passion and a heart to help deliver more young adult geared or younger age manga. That really resonated with me. I've shared on here before that I really feel like there is something missing in the English market of having more kid-friendly manga, I guess you would say. And so to see that they have a heart for that was really like, I want to support you, buddy. I want to support you in this. I think it's a really important thing. And it was just very cool to see. But the volume itself was very sweet, very wholesome. It does remind me of Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You, except for they're teenagers. There's no smoking involved. And that they just have this blooming romance between them at the convenience store, more or less. And I enjoy just seeing how their feelings grew for one another, but also how they grew more confident, especially the male lead. That was very sweet, very satisfying. And as soon as I finished reading Volume 1, I went back on NetGalley and I put in a request for Volume 2. I think it comes out in the fall, while Volume 1 comes out, I believe, in June. It's definitely one I would recommend. Again, if you like wholesome, really easygoing romance. It was very, very sweet. It was very sweet. And before I dive into the series, like by publisher, I did want to mention the 6 volumes that I read and did the first impression of, so I can leave it linked in the corner. The first one that I did was Shugo Volume 1, the 20th anniversary edition. I absolutely love this. I think in that video, I literally spent 20 minutes talking just about Shugo, the impact it had on me. I am definitely planning to get Volume 2. I've already started working my budget. I'm having to cut other things, but I'm like, that's okay. It really was an impactful and moving story, and very much glad that I gave it a chance. Shout out to Kodansha, who just gifted me this series because they wanted to, or volume, excuse me, not the series, gifted me this volume because they wanted to send my daughter some cat manga. Really, really appreciate that. Also, I read Delirium. This is a self-published, though award-winning. She, I think, took bronze home for the International Manga Awards. Very, very good. I enjoyed it a lot. I've actually read ahead on her website. You can read all of the chapters free on the creator's website. website. I'll leave it linked down below. You can read the first 3 chapters for free on Manga Dex if that's where you prefer to read, though I'm still recommending her website because I'm like, you get more. So can't wait for the next chapter. Enjoyed that. And then also the Princess Keeper, which was super cute, super sweet. Really enjoyed this fantasy story. The male lead, I enjoyed reading it, but when I made the connection somewhere along the way, I'm like, this guy reminds me of Silver from Twisted Wonderland. Y'all, I was done for. He is in my top 5 favorite characters. I absolutely love and adore him. So that was just like a win-win for me. It was very cute and definitely enjoyed all of those. And then the second first impression video that I did, I read volume 1 of Apprentice Nail Artist in a Foreign Land. One of the best stories I've read on world building. It's very word heavy, I feel, in that, but it's very creative and I absolutely was thriving. I loved it very, very much. I am nervous about the anime just because there's so much world building and I'm like, please don't cut it. But I really hope that it carries over well into animation. I also read digitally Watch Out for Watarase. Now I only reviewed volume 1, which is a series on K-manga, but I did ended up using real money to read volumes 2 and 3. I gave volume 2 4 stars simply because in volume 1, the female lead is lovingly or joked about being a puppy. And I was fine with that. I'm like, okay, I can handle this. But then she's referred to as a dog and refers to herself as a dog in the second volume. And I was just like, girl, no. You are not a dog, bestie. Let's not call ourselves that. And let's not accept other people calling us a dog. No. So I did knock a star. I really enjoyed the volume, but I really just hated that one conversation and how she referred to herself. I don't know why this is a thing right now, but I'm not for it. Period. But then volume 3, really, really good. The scene that happens after, I think, or maybe it's near the end of volume 3, I'm not really sure. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. So I definitely enjoyed reading that one. And then I also did a first impression of volume 1 of Agents of the Four Seasons, the manga. I mentioned in that video that this was my least favorite read out of all of them, not because it was bad, but because I knew I needed more. And I really ranted about how I'm upset that the anime is ongoing and you can't get volume 2 of the manga anywhere, at least for the normal price. Now you get a higher price, but I'm like, no, I want it at either regular price or lower. That was upsetting in that sense, but I did like what I read. I just feel I need more because I did read the previews of other volumes, and you can see that the action is definitely becoming more intense and that this really was just laying down the foundation for the series. So it's not one I was dropping, just one that I knew I needed to give more volumes and keep going. But let's go ahead and dive into the VIZ Media Reads. I read, I think this is my only shonen one, and that's Kaiju number 8, volume 15. I had a little bit of mixed feelings on this one, just because we were given some like backstory and some lore about a certain kaiju, and I felt it made sense, but I felt a little bit confused, uncertain of exactly the lore for other kaiju. Do they have lore behind those kaiju, or is it just this specific kaiju that has it? So I felt a little bit conflicted there and just slightly confused, but oh my goodness, the volume where it ended, I don't know how volume 16 is going to end. I know I've said that with other volumes, but really the decision Kafka made, I can't see him making any other decision, but it was a really worrying decision. And so I don't know how it's going to end from here. It was very interesting seeing more of that backstory, how Kafka was involved in that, seeing some other characters. I can't wait for the next volume. I think I do have it pre-ordered now because VIZ finally put it up. It's been a hot minute. And definitely I would say overall I enjoyed it. It just probably is the weakest volume I've read of the recent volumes where we don't have that non-stop action. I'm holding my breath. I'm worrying and freaking out for about everybody, especially Kafka. I mean, we definitely still had that, just we needed, I think, that backstory or that lore to help explain why things are the way that they have been. So that part was interesting. Now this next one though is the last one I read from VIZ/shoujo beat. Well, I guess just VIZ, but that is Girl Crush volume 6. Before I read this next one I'm going to feature, this was my favorite read of last month. I am absolutely blown away by Tenka's journey. I feel like this is the volume that showcases who Tenka used to be to who she is now. Really amazing storytelling. The art was so good. The struggle that Tenka has, who helps her to overcome this struggle she didn't even realize she was going to be having, was a very emotionally moving moving. I was personally really encouraged of not holding on to the past and being able to go forward and just live freely, to make new memories that spark joy in your life. It was very touching, and I'm still blown away every time I read this series of how emotional I tend to get each volume in some kind of way. But I feel usually it involves Tenka specifically because she has just grown so much, and so I'm very excited for the next volume. Absolutely love this, can't recommend it enough. This volume, going into my Kodansha Reads, I ended up saying was my favorite read, and that's volume 17 of A Condition Called Love. I really debated, did I feel it was better than Girl Crush in the sense of like which one would I look back and be like, man, I really vividly remember what happened. And I went with this volume mainly because after I finished volume 16, which I definitely feel is my least favorite volume of the series, I was so emotionally devastated. Even though I knew the train wreck that was coming, I was in denial of that train wreck. And despite that people had said, volume 17 is so good, Hotaru even looks really happy on this cover, but I could not bring myself to start this. It wasn't till I was getting near the end of my TBR pile that I'm like, you just gotta do it, Laura. You just gotta dive in. That's basically what I did. That even though I mentally did not feel ready to start this, I'm like, we're just gonna sit here and read it, and it went so above my expectations. Yes, it was a happy read, which is the #1 thing I was wanting most from this volume, but I was very impressed and very proud of Hotaru, of how the struggles that she's had that we have seen, that she was able to say the feelings of her heart. I feel like we just saw such character growth in her specifically that I just felt so moved in so many different ways. I can't say all of them because it'd be spoilers, because yes, I did cry when I was reading this, but really specifically with Hotaru, that I was just so proud of her, how she didn't just quiet her feelings, how she didn't say anything, that she made all of that known. Even if it came out, maybe it could have been a better way, I don't know, I don't think she was in the wrong. Even if it could have come out a quieter way, that she still said what was in her heart and got everything out in the open. I really loved it. How it ended was very beautiful. I just thought everything, I mean, this isn't the final volume, but I feel like it going to the conclusion, like the final volume, because I think the next volume is the final volume, and then we have volume 19. Yeah, volume 19 has like all the side stories. So I feel like based off of how this volume ended, it's going to end on a very strong note for this series. I'm excited and sad to see how it will wrap up, because I just feel these characters have been so special, and I've been so touched by how they've grown as individuals, how they have grown as a couple, and can't wait to see how their story unfolds, even if I'm gonna want to see more of them in future volumes. I did share in a short that I came back to Hitting Rewind with You Volume 2 because I mentioned how I didn't super connect with Volume 1 the way I was hoping, but I really enjoyed Volume 2. I'm glad that I came back to the series. Wakaba continues to be a very funny heroine. Honestly, I was thankful that we didn't have as much quite of the high school shenanigans. Yes, we did have some shade with the high school shenanigans, which was fine, but the romance I really feel like is starting to become real. Not that it wasn't before, but there's a different element or a different feeling to everything that's happening, and I really like how Wakaba says things that she just has no shame about. And I think something very beautiful about their blooming relationship is how she says she doesn't need to be embarrassed by him because he's seen all the cringy parts of her, and I really like that, and I feel it's 100% true, and I think it's why I connected more with this volume of being able to see these other parts where they're their real selves. They're not acting as teenagers or dressed up as teenagers, that they're real college students being real people basically into a blooming relationship. Very good. I believe I do still have my volume 3 on pre-order, and I'm excited to see where it goes because I'm pretty sure it ended. Yeah, well, I guess there was some high school shenanigans because I did forget there was a sports moment that was so good, and I'm like, Wakaba, you are their reaction was hilarious. But I really like how just they're making time for each other, and can't wait to see where things go next. I read the physical copy of Volume 4 of Love That's an Understatement. This is a reread, just a physical form. I can tell you to deeply love this series. No surprise there because yes, for delinquents, but I really enjoyed rereading this time of seeing how Risa's feelings are starting to deepen and change towards Zen in a good way, not a bad way. Like when things totally went down near the end and how she sees Zen reacts, and even before that, honestly, of when she gets to meet his family and everything, she's really starting to grow closer to him, and I thought was very beautiful, and how she's wanting to know, what was the question that she asked? I don't know if I could say it out loud because it might be a spoiler, but Yeah, how do you become a person who can so sincerely say those words? I still know so little about Zen, but I knew in my soul, sort of paraphrasing there, that I wanted to protect Zen too and that she wants to be there for him. And so I really am enjoying seeing her slow and steady change, her become more confident in his love, be more outspoken, having these small, subtle changes that are just too cute. It was wonderful. 5 stars out of 5 stars once again. Now we'll go on to Yen and IZE Press. So we got a new volume of one of my favorite villainous series right now, and that's volume 5 of If the Villainess and Villain Met and Fell in Love, the manga. So proud of our female lead. Like, Prince Joseph is back on the scene. Get that man out. Oh, I can't stand him at all. But he's back on the scene, unfortunately, but the way she's standing her ground, oh goodness, there was a moment that was absolutely everything. The support that she got, and like, yes, you are not alone, girl. You don't have to change this time around like you did last time. No, you got people in your corner. I really like the outing. I was about to say date. It ain't a date, but the, not a school trip, but where she goes to one of the guys' houses that's another classmate, and they have basically like a studying hangout session kind of thing. Really loved how we're starting to see those romantic feelings really starting to come into play, but also the contract spirit, who is so adorable. I really like seeing things with that, even though there was like a really scary moment that I'm like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. It has continued to get better and better. I still love the series very deeply and excited to see where things go next. This next one I am very, very salty about, and that is volume 6 of Not So Wicked Stepmom. But let me tell you, I love the volume. It wasn't about the volume itself. It was actually, I came across a spoiler for the series. Now listen, I don't know what it is. I don't really like manga spoilers, but I love manhwa spoilers. I will purposely go out of the way to look them up so I can prepare myself. I don't know why I have a difference there where manga I'm like, nope, but manhwa I'm like, yeah, let's do it. You know, I don't know why that is. But I saw, I'm pretty confident, is an out of context spoiler, and I hated it. I was very, very upset because of what the spoiler was, because in that moment, I'm like, I don't want to keep reading. I'm like, if this is what's going to happen, no. I don't want to see that. I don't want this for a certain character. And I was so upset. I saw it about halfway through reading this volume, and it was a struggle to finish it, despite that I really love where the series is going. I very much liked how we got to see more of this world. We're seeing more of the magical abilities, which was pretty amazing. That part was like very fascinating to me. How our young sweet girl is getting a little bit jealous, like, yes. And, you know, after seeing a certain character's like true colors, I'm glad that she stepped up and said something, because I think it really helped Abigail out, even though I don't think Abigail realizes. But I love how the romance is blooming between Abigail and her husband, how they're both reacting. It is a very slow burn when it comes to that, but I feel like it was just such an engaging story, and that's why I'm just so mad that I saw that specific spoiler that just was upsetting. And again, I feel it's an out of context spoiler, and I was thankful that other people were really upset. They're like, one person was like, I'm not reading this at all anymore. But this volume itself was very, very good, and I'm hoping that if I just give it some time, that I can start the next volume and everything will be okay, because I just felt so touched once again, just as I did when I did my video review on this series. I felt so blessed by these characters, and I loved seeing all the family vibes and them growing together. It was so special. It was so special. Another series that I did feel really blessed as well when coming back to this and rereading it was Victoria of Many Faces volumes 1 through 3 of the manga. In the middle of April, I was hit, or had some struggles, I should say, with some really bad insomnia, the worst insomnia I've ever can recall, at least as an adult. I don't know about a kid, but definitely as an adult, that was having me desperate for advice, looking at all the websites, trying to find anything and everything to just get back my sleep and just sleep again. I was really struggling to get into reading, and so I decided to do a video review of this. I don't even remember why I decided to, but I'm glad that I did, because it touched my heart. I did a video review, and I had nothing but glowing things to say about this manga. Very, very excited for volume 4, because we're in it with volume 3. I'm like, hello, please do not end there. I think the next volume comes out in September, and I'm like, please don't get pushed back or anything, because I need answers. Another series that is very beautiful and strong family vibes. Love all of the relationships. I just truly hope that there's nothing but happy things on the horizon for these characters. This was one of my most anticipated releases of this year, and that's volume 1 of my super cute Black Mage, and it was as cute as I hoped it would be. I do feel that our male lead here, Jade, he is a little bit more meaner than I anticipated in the things that he says, not the things he thinks, because the fantasies he has, nothing dirty or anything, they're really sweet. Even if like the timing is like, bruh, I think you need to get to know some people a little bit better before you start having this kind of fantasy. But it created a very funny and humorous story in terms of how he acts really does contradict what he thinks, because our female lead, when she accidentally touches him, she can hear the thoughts of his heart and sees these fantasies that he does have. Again, nothing dirty or anything like that, but it's just like, oh my goodness, like it created a lot of humorous moments, and so I had a great time. I appreciate the world building we had a little bit. It seems like it's going to be very interesting. Not sure if it'll ever be a focus, but I enjoyed the world and I enjoyed the story, and I definitely will be continuing it. And I will say too, this is one of the very few volumes I actually read the bonus story at the back, and it was quite chunky. This is the Black Mage story, and this was the unrelated short story that there was. It was a good one. I liked how it ended. I like how it came to be, and I'm just honestly surprised that I read it, because per my history, I've noticed I don't tend to read unrelated bonus stories in volumes, because I like having all my feelings still be, I guess, connected to the main story and not drift elsewhere. Maybe that sounds really weird, but I still have series on my shelf where I've never read the bonus stories of them and have no plans to do it. Ramble aside, I really enjoyed this, and I'm very excited to keep reading. I think it's going to continue to get funner, and I think he's going to be less mean based off of where it ended, and definitely some cute blushy moments the more we went on. So can't wait to see where it goes. My last IZE Press read that I had was Honey Lemon Soda Volume 11, and let me tell you, I can't believe that I'm going to say this, but one of the highlights of this volume is that the dad got a thumbs up from me. And I know that probably sounds weird. If you've read this manga, you're going to be like, excuse me, what? Like, Laura, are you tripping? What? Because the dad has been pretty horrible. He's been awful. Like, honestly, I don't like probably even half the adults in this series, because I hate the decisions that they make, excuse me, and how they push things on Uka. Like, please get out. And that has very much included Uka's dad. But the thing is, I won't give spoilers, but I'll just say when there's a conversation that happens between him and Kai, I was so impressed. I couldn't believe the things he said, the things he offered, and he did. It felt so out of character. He even admitted he was wrong, and I'm like, he didn't apologize, and he ain't out the doghouse as an FYI, okay? But for him just to admit he was wrong and how he perceived Kai felt like the biggest breakthrough. I didn't even know what to make of it, honestly. And I was grateful that somebody else pointed out in their review that it was the highlight of this volume. And there were other parts that I liked and enjoyed. For example, Uka really growing in her friendships with other girls was very beautiful. I mean, I love this series because it is a romance, and I love seeing the romance bloom. But considering Uka's past and how she's making these friendships now, that was wonderful. I really felt my heart thriving, which was very unexpected. I do like how Uka is starting to get to know Kai. I also was pretty impressed that Kai was setting some boundaries between them. I said, okay, bud, all right, we love to see it. So it was a really good volume overall. Definitely had to go back to the previous volume because it's been so long that I'm like, what exactly happened? It seems a little bit fuzzy, so I definitely wish this series would release a lot faster. It's very good and continue to deeply enjoy it. The next two volumes going into 7 Seas. I read these at 2 different times, so I just figured it would make more sense to feature them together. That is The Condemned Villainess Goes Back in Time and aims to become the ultimate villain, volume 5. Yeah, volume 5 and volume 6 of the manga. So I have a review on this channel of the manga. I'm very excited we're getting an anime of it. I really enjoyed the first 4 volumes. And then we meet this guy, and I'll admit I was sort of nervous when it came to jumping into this volume, and I tried it and I put it on hold because I love Claudia and Sylvester. And I'm like, no love triangle, please. Like, I don't want it. I don't care how sweet this man is. I don't want it. So I decided to come back because I don't remember what it was that led me. Maybe it was the anime news, something. Anyway, and I was a little bit unsure, but man, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. Though volume 6, I think is my favorite volume of the series thus far. Though I'd have to go back and reread like volume 2 or 3 because that one was very, very good as well. But man, there's a conversation about a character. Her name is Charlotte. And I was truly like, to the point of tears, y'all, of how Claudia looked out for this young woman, how she had this like literally life-changing conversation with her to help transform the way she views her body. It was moving. It is one of the best conversations I've seen between 2 women and being honest about body types, the struggles that some women have about their bodies. And for Claudia to empower Charlotte the way she did was absolutely beautiful. I really, really liked it, even though at first I was very nervous and I was like, I don't know where this is going to go, but it was beautiful, really impactful conversation that will definitely be a highlight for me for a long time. And volume 6, I was trying to find like, why do I feel like this is one of the best volumes? I mean, all of the volumes have been very good. I think the lowest I've given is like 4 stars. So all of them have been awesome. But I think it was the opening where we see Sylvester as a child and we see a certain character with him in their interactions and how all this political stuff that's happening just got more personal and more intense, I feel like. I don't know if tense is the right word, but it definitely adds some more complications to everything that's happening because we've already seen it's complicated for Claudia because of the not time loop. Is it a time loop? But more things though, just remembering her past life, for the lack of a better word, how she has and remembers emotions and feelings from back then, how she's trying not to let it dictate her emotions in the now. And I really enjoyed how that's conveyed in the manga. Very, very good. And I think too of how Claudia she makes it known. And I feel like maybe that's what I needed, is that clarification that Claudia absolutely loves Sylvester. There's no doubt in her mind that she would ever go to any other person. And I feel like this volume established that for me, and I needed that because I'm like, let them be rock solid, because obviously Sylvester is rock solid about Claudia. I am a little bit worried though, and I'm 100% with Sylvester. Claudia has a plan. It hasn't really been conveyed what her plan is in this volume, but I'm not for it. I'm with Sylvester 100%. Like, nope, don't let her do it. Don't let her do it. I don't know what's gonna come from it, but there's another character that seems very sinister. I think they're on one of the upcoming volumes of the manga, and I'm just nervous of how that's gonna go down because I think there's more at play than even what we, the reader, are seeing just in these 2 volumes so far, because there's a scene in this one that I'm like, this person was pretty eerie and pretty scary. I don't know what's gonna come from it, but I hope that there will be good things. Very much loved it. Can't wait for volume 7. I do have it on my pre-order sheet. In fact, I was going through my pre-order sheet the other day and I had it on there twice just because of how excited I am to keep reading more of this series. So very glad that I came back and started reading again because it continues to be very, very good. This is sort of like the final volume. I know, like, I have volume 10 actually on my shelf, but that is just short stories, and I think they're related and unrelated. But I read the ending of My Girlfriend's Child, volume 9. It was everything. I firmly stand behind that. If there's ever a person who is wanting to be a parent or is going to be a parent, whether female or male, this is a series I think everybody should read, because how it shows the struggles, the worries, everything that happens from when a person gets pregnant to when they give birth to a child was really, really incredible. All the thought that went into this manga completely blows me away. Not saying it should replace like nonfiction reads and stuff like that, because those are incredibly helpful too, but I just, even after having 3 kids and having now one of them, my oldest, is a teenager, I still really felt those strong feelings that Sachi had, that I remember those worries, I remember all of that, and honestly was just blown away of how she did one certain thing through the birthing process, where I'm like, girl, I know you're in pain. I know you're in pain. I know it. And I was very touched by how this volume ended, and I feel very hopeful for their future. They were an incredible couple, and Takara, best boy, top 10. He has not changed. I know I have a video about that. He's in the top 10 best boys I've read. I'm completely just always blown away by him. So I really, really enjoyed this volume. Definitely gonna have to do a reread of the series and do a video review at some point, because I very much feel that more people need to read this. It was very, very good. This volume I did give 5 stars, but I think I'm gonna put the series on hold, and that's Diary of a Female Lead volume 6. I really, really love the opening chapter a lot. I love how we see another side to our girl's brother. Honestly, that was the highlight of the volume for me. I'm not even gonna lie. And also probably the end when it came to the male lead's sister. I enjoyed that as well, but I do feel just the opening chapter was everything. Mainly, I felt I was gonna put the series on pause. I still really love this manga. I have enjoyed these characters. I've enjoyed seeing them grow together in their relationship, but it's sort of been a little bit too physically intimate focus for me that I'm like, okay, like, yes, this is normal, I get it, but I would like there to be a little bit more, I don't know, maybe a little bit more like Honey Lemon Soda in terms of where we're seeing things with her friends as well. I would love to see more of that. I'm not sure if that's going to be something that comes in the future. I think what I would be technically halfway through the series, and again, it's great. I give it 5 stars. I might hold off getting the next volume to see what comes, but I thought it was a cute volume overall, and I know me, if I stop here, I'm gonna really miss the characters because I just really have enjoyed them, and I think it's cute how they are just growing in their love for one another. This, of course, is always a favorite, and that is Glasses with a Chance of Delinquent, Volume 6. In fact, I felt really bad because anything I read directly within those few days, it just did not hit the same peak as it did when I read this series. Granted, I am rereading it, but I absolutely loved it. I was thriving, my day was made, and I enjoyed everything about it. I know that there's sort of like an interloper love triangle. And this one I feel like it's just done so well where, you know, Momo is just, there ain't nobody else, okay? Ichikura is the guy she likes. And despite what anybody else would say in terms of like in the series, they just don't have a chance. They just don't. They know this. They know this. And I just appreciate how the creator handles all of that. Like, I had a new appreciation when reading this volume, especially since I can't just straight binge rate it the same way I did on K-Manga, where there's no, I don't know what volume I'm on, where they start, where they end, I don't know. But yeah, I absolutely love this volume. There is some misunderstanding that's happening, but everything's gonna be okay the next one because there's such a good scene that's coming and I can't wait to see it. So just know that even if I can't say this is my ultimate favorite volume of the month, in my heart, yes. Yes, it is. And I guess I should clarify because it's still technically, yes, it could be, but when it comes to making or filling in the graphic I had of my favorite book of the month, I can't say a previous winner being on there, and Glass of Chance of Delinquent. It didn't win for last year, but the year before that, it did. Just to like clear that up because I felt like that was a little bit confusing. But going on to TokyoPop, I read volume 4 of Reincarnated in a Mafia Dating Sim. Where is volume 5? I even checked this morning, it is still not up. Goodness, the whole series, every volume has had such a massive cliffhanger, but given things that have been revealed, conversations that are being had between some very big people, some important people at that, the ending was pretty shattering. And it's like, did that really just end there? Because I was not expecting it. That was a really good plot twist for the series, and I'm concerned, need answers of where things are gonna go. Thankfully, Leonardo, he just tends to be one step ahead of everybody, and he seems to know what's been happening, but now our girl knows. I think she knows. I think she's about to find out. That's why we need the next volume to find out if she found out. But I really was proud of her for the decisions that she made, how she really went after Leonardo, more or less. I do need her to be a little bit less naive, because I'm like, girl, no friend is gonna help out another friend the same, or stick up for them the same way you're doing right now. At least when it comes to this series, I should say. I just don't see it happening. I'm like, girl, you gotta search your heart and search your feelings, because surely the writing's on the wall. And hopefully it's not just me being Delulu saying that, because I ship them very strongly, but I continue to love it. It's a very good volume, very good series, and hopefully before the year ends, we'll at least get a pre-order date for volume 5, get a release date, you know, and it come out. Like, that'd be the ultimate thing, especially since the next cover should be orange. Very excited, yeah, and need the answers to see what's gonna happen next. And then last but not least, I'm probably not gonna talk too much about this one. I do have a video review that is gonna be coming out in the next 2-ish weeks. I think it actually should be next week, and that is I'll Never Fall in Love with Amino. This is a 3-volume completed series. Y'all, I love this. I have gotten the volumes as they were releasing, excuse me, and I didn't want to read them right away, even though that goes against my rule that I have to read things as they come in. They can't go on my shelf, and I've just sort of kept it on my TBR shelf, just waiting for that 3rd volume because I knew I wanted to support the release of the series, and it was wonderful. If you need a short, fun, romantic comedy, it gave me a little bit of Last Game nostalgia, just a tad. I would so check this out. I would so check this out. There's like misunderstandings, but they're funny, and it's not like dramatic just to be dramatic. It pushes the story forward. The things that they do, they use references for romance. They get that from shoujo manga. We love this scene, especially the male lead. Like, he's reading so much shoujo manga, watching shoujo anime, so he can learn what love is and how to move forward in this relationship that in her eyes wasn't a relationship. She's just trying to find out his weakness, but a misunderstanding happens, they're in a relationship, and it leads to real feelings. I was very impressed at the end because I have struggled a little bit with these 3-volume series where like the first 2 are absolutely amazing, and then we get to the 3rd volume and it just does not hit that same excitement, and I felt like I was holding my breath while reading this series. I'm like, please don't fall off. It did not. In fact, I feel like this is one of the best well-written endings I've seen for a 3rd volume, because I was like, man, I'm like, the blurb was focusing for volume 3 on the storm that was happening in volume 2. I'm like, there's no way that you could stretch it out for the entire volume, but how everything came together and just how it ended, so good. I have nothing bad to say about it except for I wouldn't have minded if it was longer. It's perfect how it is, but I would keep reading excitedly about these 2 and their very cute shenanigans. So overall, it was a really exciting month. I'm so very excited that I read 30 volumes. I cleared out my TBR pile basically, and that was really, really awesome. But I would love to know, did you read any of these manga as well? What were your favorite titles or series that you read last month? Let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!